So we're going to be taking Shayna's bandage off today. We're just cleaning out her crate because once she's had a bandage off, she's going to stay in the crate for the first shift. Just because her arm is going to be very fragile. Sheena likes to climb, so if she's in a crate, she cannot climb. Let me just take this one out because she's going to be in there.
I haven't got a second.
So we're just making sure her crate's clean before we do this, and it's going to make sure it's nice and soft so that she doesn't hurt her wrist. We know she can use her elbow really well, but her wrist is a little bit weak at the moment, so we're just making sure it's nice and padded so she doesn't hurt herself. Perfect. Pop that in there so we can see. Okay, Sheena. Normally Shayna comes in with the Pepe when we do this, but Pepe couldn't come this morning. Yes, Popeyes. Yeah. Charlie's nice.
There you go, Charlie.
Okay, we'll cut this off. Yeah, good girl. So Shayna's had a cast on for over 4 weeks now. I think this is actually week 5. Her arm is healing well, but she has a little bit of damage to her shoulder, probably from the weight of the cast and how she uses her arm with it on. So we are just going to take it off to help her shoulder, but she needs to be really careful with her arm because it's not 100% yet. Good girl, Sheena. Okay. See what we've got. I feel like, you know, when somebody decorates a cake and then they give it to someone, they have to cut it off. Cut it up to feed people. I feel like that. Worked very hard to keep these on you. It didn't work. Yeah, you are good girl. You gonna help me?
Well, you can see Shayna's little hand is still a little bit of a problem, but at least it's being used, which is the main thing. So it's going to take a while to get the full strength back.
Pepe and Shayna are usually at the back, but sometimes they will stay over. Like
this extra stuff should I just put in there?
yes.
Of course, nothing's going to stop two little monkeys having lots of fun and playing around, and it's probably just great to have the freedom of that little arm. You can see how she wiggles it around a little bit. Just happy that it's all out again and usable.
I'll ask later if we can give him some. And then how much of it? So you're going to make a 16 ml bottle?
Yeah. With this contagion, so you have to hold
That's
it
all
in.
I could get in.
Because it's a break. We want it to still be able to move to the shoulder, yeah. That's fine. But she has had it in the class, there's going to be a lot more waiting as well.
744 grams. Just gonna check. This might take a while. So he's lost 10 grams.
And when was that?
That was 5 weeks ago.
But he's eaten quite a lot this morning, so is that.
So 5 weeks, so he's lost, obviously should have gained much more in 5 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah.
So little Taro has had to be caught and brought in. Basically, he's not picking up enough weight. So we're a little bit worried with him out in the enclosure that he wasn't eating enough. So we're just doing a little bit of a checkup now, rehydrating him, making sure he's getting milk and everything like this, and he's in good health.
Having some rehydration. Just giving Taro some food to see what he eats. Obviously he's a bit stressed being in a small area at the moment, just so we can observe him. Is that good, buddy? Yes, what's that?
So it just is essential at the moment just to keep him a little bit separated so we can watch that he is actually eating food and he's passing stools and everything properly, and of course urinating. just to make sure there's nothing else wrong. It does get a little bit worrying when these little ones start losing weight instead of gaining weight, as they should be gaining weight quite rapidly.
Becky feeding Taro in sick bay. How's Taro doing now?
He's much better, he's much more settled, much more comfortable. We're not drinking by ourselves yet, so he's having a bit of help. So we're getting him to this nice happy place, and then we're helping him with the bottle. He is drinking when he wants to, but it's not the best. Which is kind of a shame, because Taro used to drink quite a lot by himself. He would guzzle from the feeding cage and from the bottles. But we're getting there. He's slowly creeping up to 60 ml a day, which is always good. But he is taking a lot of help from us, but that might be because he is in sick bay away from his mum.
Sarah is giving some GI sustain that it has like glutamine, probiotics to Taro. Taro was already with his foster mom on the intra cage, but he was getting a little bit skinny and he was not drinking properly, so he's on sick bay and we are reassessing him.
I know, little man. I'm sorry.
How you guys see, it's kind of difficult sometimes to be able to give a meds to the babies, because even when they are babies, they wiggle a lot and they move and they try to escape. So we use this technique that we call burrito grab, and it's where we put them like in a blanket around their bodies to keep them calm and feel safe and feel like support. We always give some kind of cuddles and head rub that if you see his face, he's going like sleepy and to his happy place, and in that way it's easier to later be able to give some meds.
So I have just got Taro and the two in Neverland, Herbert and Thingpen, in my cabin for night shift tonight. I've just had Taro out for about 40 minutes trying to get him sleepy enough to get some fluids in him. But he isn't wanting to drink anything, so I'll just try again a bit later if he starts crying, and then again in the morning. Just turn around to have a look at my littler ones, because they're due a 7 o'clock feed. And both of them are fast asleep, so I'm just going to leave them to it and see if they're hungry whenever they wake up, and if not, hopefully they'll be very hungry by their 10 o'clock feed, so we'll see how it goes.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
All right, then.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Hi. We've got a little sweetheart here.
Skinny little sweetheart.
So what was his story?
So apparently people found him in his decomposing mom's body.
Yes.
He was apparently really flat. They kept him for 3 days and then realised they didn't know what they were doing.
So mom was decomposed, so that was a few days.
So yeah, he's already been on her for a few days. And then they handed him to somebody who has marmoset monkeys.
Yeah.
And they had him since Christmas. But she doesn't know Vervet at all. And she had him for a week. And then I fetched him on Monday.
Yeah.
So there was a fracture over here in his humerus.
Yeah.
That has started to heal. So I
On the right
guesstimated on the left side.
Oh, I can see the bump. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guesstimate he had that for at least 2 weeks before I got him. He uses the arm,
Yeah, he looks.
but he does protect it. And there's no muscle mass on it, so we'll need a bit of physio and stuff. Other than that, he is very wobbly, but he's got no meat in his bones.
Just get a bit of strength into him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's all belly.
very much so.
All belly, no muscle. Huh? Just like me.
Hello, Mom. Charlie's trying to give our new arrival a little bit of rehi. But as Lauren said, he is having none of it. Give him hell, little one.
Keep putting it on his legs instead.
That'll do.
Tasty, huh? Tasty.
That's one way to do it.
So of course little Felix is another one of those cases that we've got no idea what trauma this little one actually went through, and the fight it must have had to stay alive on its mother. As the person said who brought him through, he was still clinging to the decomposing body. So that means he's actually been there for a few days without anything to drink or eat, and has managed to pull himself through. So he's got a long way to go, and we hopefully it hasn't infected him too badly. We are a little bit worried about the shoulder because we don't think that's been treated at all. Looks like he actually broke his arm somewhere along the line. What happened to the mother, we're not sure, whether it's a car accident, more than likely, and he was also involved in it, and of course broken his little shoulder or his arm along the way. So he's going to have some kind of treatment, but we are going to have to pay a lot of attention to him to make sure we get his weight and everything like this back up to par, because in the most essential part of his life he's actually been starving, which is not really good for any wild animal. He's absolutely crazy about his food, and just so grateful to get anything to eat, and he's just climbing in and filling his little mouth up as much as he can, just to make sure he's even got reserves. You can see his little cheeks there are completely full, in case he has to call on it for a little bit later. So yeah, unfortunately it's not a nice little thing for him to have gone through. And we also got to be careful that he doesn't overfeed himself, because that can also be a little bit of a problem. So up until this point it's been more or less just trying to get his little stomach full, but now that he's sure of his food and he's happy, he's actually starting to pay attention and have a look at his surroundings, try and find out where he is and what's actually going on. But yeah, you can see even in his weight and just looking at his body mass and things like this, he's not 100%. He seems to be shaking a little bit, which is also very worrying. So he's going to need a lot of nurturing to come right with this little one. But all we can be grateful for is that somebody found him just in the nick of time to get him through, and hopefully we can give him the correct treatment to bring him right again. I'm just enjoying a little bit of the sunshine coming in and being able to sit there and absorb the rays while he's having a look at the bandits on the outside. Well, it's been a long day for little Felix, and it's coming to the end of the day. Time for him to relax and rest, and possibly go up and join some others for the midnight shift. And then, of course, we'll see him again in the morning and see how he's going and if there's any improvement. Little Felix the next day, just waking up and taking everything in before he starts clambering around. Probably going to need his food and things just now.
Felix, he's waking up. Beautiful Felix.
Well, there's no doubt little Felix has got one of the cutest little innocent faces that you can imagine, especially when he's just waking up and taking in his surroundings.
This is Felix. He just woke up.
You can see he's still very unsteady, especially for a little one of his age. We've got to get a lot more sustenance into this little guy to try and get his weight back up. It's very hard to say what kind of damage was done, especially for the time period that he was without water and without food. And it's certainly not because he doesn't like food. He seems to really enjoy what he's eating and looking forward to it. But again, at the same time, we just have to be careful how much he eats at one time. You must remember the little stomach is not used to any of this thing, and he has to sort of take it easy as he goes on. So we do have to control his intake of his food.
It's a little gift from me to you, before they destroy it.
Yeah. You like Gail's gift?
Question, because I will have the clothing shift with him and I've never met him before.
With who? Felix?
Yeah. Is there something special?
Yes. Very good.
This is Felix. He's going to be going to the vets because he seems quite wobbly and maybe got some neurological problems as well that we want checked out, along with his shoulder.
So we're back from the vets. How was that, Nina?
Nice.
Happy?
He's not happy. He's not happy now, but yeah.
He was happy Nina went with the vet. Clearly isn't used to vervets or screaming vervets. So he was happy when he could be with Nina again. So Nina's actually cuddled him the whole way home. He does best when he's got his people with him. So now we're back at the foundation. We will get his treatment plan sorted. we will move forwards and we'll just keep an eye on him and see how he goes. Normally after a couple of days here and a health check they would move to Disneyland, but probably not for this little one while he's recovering. So Nina will continue with her care. He's like, feed me. You look so small.
And here's Felix. He looks like he's drinking that well, Charlie.
He is, he's doing a lot better, especially with the rehi and the prolect. He's actually suckling, which is something that's pretty new. Before it was drop by drop, but now he's happily wanting more. He bites onto the teat when you're done because he really wants to just keep it going. The milk is still a bit slow progress, but I think he likes the sugar in the prolite and the rehi, so he's, as you can see, he just doesn't want to let it go.
That's great. It looks better than a couple of days ago.
Oh, so much better. He was like, when he first came in, it was a lot like flinching away from it, and now he's accepting it a lot more, which is makes it a lot easier. As you can see there, he's still very shaky, but in terms of drinking, he's getting much better, much better.
It's great to see there's some progress in him.
Oh, definitely, absolutely.
He's looking for more.
He really wants it. He really wants it. Yeah, considering when he first came in, he barely wanted to touch the stuff. It was much better.
So what's he drinking now?
So this is rehi he's on at the minute. He's just had, this is his 10th meal. So he's, yeah.
And how many mils of milk has he had? Is he still on half strength milk?
He's still on half strength. He's had, we've limited a little bit, so it's between 5 and 10 every 2 hours. I gave him 5 about 7:30, and he was just didn't want any more at all. So we're going to try again in about half an hour with some more milk and see if he's wanting any more of it.
So we have Felix having some seeds. I believe today is pumpkin seeds, which he's very much enjoying.
So of course we're trying to get everything with nice high protein into him as often as possible. With him being malnourished, especially at this age, is not a very good thing for these little guys because it means their development has been hampered. So we can only hope for the best for this little one.
Are those good, Felix? Yeah, you like them? Okay. Good boy. Yeah, I'll use them. That's delicious, right?
As he's kind of battling with the milk formula, we've mixed it with banana, which he seems to be enjoying, just so that we can get as much protein into this little guy as soon as possible. So it's important that he is drinking and he's taking the right sustenance, especially with the formula, because that's got everything the little guy needs. So we need to get him to take as much of that as possible. Doesn't matter what other things that we give him, it's not going to make up for the formula. So we're trying different methods, and it looks like he's loving the banana.
Oh, he stepped in it. So here we have Felix being taught how to use the feeding cage. He can go in and out already, thanks to the food that we put inside. And now baby intern Stephanie is trying to teach him also to drink from the bottle holder.
Well, little Felix is certainly coming on nicely. I just want to thank everybody out there for your contributions that make it possible for us to look after these little ones and give them a second chance. Thank you for sharing and just being part of the family, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it.